This podcast is brought to you by PNP Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com, or their two retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Let's get started.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Bonus Stage Podcast. This is episode number 31. We're recording this one on Friday, May 17th of 2013. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison, and joining me and trying not to yawn, Jeff Ward. Jeff, how's it going, my friend?
Good. It's really hard not to yawn, though. It's been a very long week. Even though I just slept my ass off last night, I am fighting. No, not fighting to stay awake, but like fighting yawning all the time. It's just, and now I'm kind of like sitting downstairs, relaxed, ready to do the show, and I'm just struggling. So I might be yawning a lot in this show. So I apologize to all those people in advance.
I will stop looking at the video because then I'll yawn, and since I do the lion's share of the talking, it will make for awkward silences, Jeff.
Exactly.
It'll be terrible.
That's okay. Those are dramatic pauses. They're not awkward silences.
Exactly. So, Jeff, how you been? It's been a while.
I've been good.
It's been a week.
It has been.
We didn't do a show last week.
That's true. Yes. Patient zero, Lloyd Hannison again, with his very sick. You know what's funny? Because when you told me that like your kids were bringing home germs and you were getting sick again, I was like, I was trying to figure out, like, how are you getting sick so much? And then I remember back to when I was a kid in elementary school, and I was sick, like, every 10 days with a new thing.
It's terrible. Like, I'll be there. I'll go to the school to pick up the kids. And so their friends come over.
With your gas mask on? And
No. Like, I go and Nick gives me a hug or whatever. And we're saying, hey, how's it going? And then all his friends come. And they're, like, freaking glazed donuts. And they're walking up. And they're, hey, Nick. It's like... Dude, is every single person in the school freaking like patient? It drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what it is this year. Like last year wasn't so bad, but this year, I don't know, maybe I'm run down. I've been working a lot of OT and doing a lot of stuff at work, so maybe my immune system is run down. But it's just like I get sick and then I just get healthy and then I get another cold and like I'll have a fever for 2 days. It's like, what the hell? And the doctors say I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just getting sick. It's just it's driving me insane, man. But
yeah, I bet.
Hopefully this is the last one that we'll miss for a very long time.
Yeah, public schools aren't really public schools. They're more like hospital waiting rooms. You know,
no, they're just big petri dishes. Like
Exactly.
The kids lick everything in the whole school. It's just it's so disgusting.
Well, you know, it's the licking class that really does that. You know, they shouldn't have that class.
It's teaching them the wrong things, Jeff. This is what it's doing.
It's public school. You got to pay for private school, and they'll tell you how to lick the right things.
That's right.
You know, but you know that's just a stupid lesson.
Yes, exactly. All right, well let's get into the show. First, some announcements. You guys heard a new intro. We have a new advertiser here on the network, PNP Games. They're a local game company, but it doesn't mean that if you're not located in Winnipeg, that you can't shop with them. If you go to pnpgames.com, you can basically walk into their website and order any retro game that you want. They sell everything from Atari 2600 to Sega Genesis to NES to Super Nintendo to GameCube to Xbox, the original Xbox, to PlayStation 1. They even have some PlayStation 1 long box games when I was down there last time. Like they have everything retro, and that's not all. They have new stuff too. Like they sell all the new releases. Corky Dog in the chat room is asking, do they ship? Yeah, they ship everywhere. If you go to pnpgames.com, check them out. When you check out, tell them that the Bonus Stage or VG Podcast Network sent you, and get your retro gaming on, and also get your new gaming on. And if you are a Winnipeg listener, if you're not already shopping there, what is wrong with you? It's definitely the best game company here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. But do check them out at pnpgames.com, and I thank the crew over there for going to this advertising with us, and it's going to help us out. We're going to get some games and some other things to do. It's going to help out the show. It's going to help them out. It's going to be a big happy family. So huge thanks out to PNP Games for jumping on and becoming a sponsor of the network.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. I'm a big loyal shopper at PNP. They used to support the Bonus Stage when it was on the radio station. They used to give us a bunch of free NES games that Tom and I would review and then give away on the show to the listeners. A little bit harder for us to do that here because the listeners are international. But one of the great things about PNP that I really, really enjoy, if you're local, is every game store, really every store on the face of the planet now in retail, has their own kind of membership card. At PNP, it's called the XP card. Costs $10, one-time fee. Get this card. Then you start accruing points. You put down, not a down payment, but a pre-order on a game. You get like 5,000 points. For every 10,000 you get, it's $10 off of a game. They're always doing these really great contests on Twitter where if you get the right answer, 1,000 points free, and multiple people can answer. It's a really good way to kind of give back to the loyal followers of the store, and man, those points come in handy. Like, I've probably saved, since I got the card in November or October, I think, I've saved around $150 already.
Wow.
So it's a lot of money. I mean, I got a free game very quickly. I mean, granted, I was shopping a lot, but and when you put down a lot of pre-orders, it adds up really quickly. So it's definitely a really good plan. So if you're local, look into getting the XP card. It's going to pay dividends, really, in the end.
Exactly. Corky Dog in the chat room saying, awesome. He wants to get a Retron 5 when they gets released, and he wants somewhere else to find retro games besides eBay. PNP Games also sells the Retron. So they're your one-stop shop for everything retro and everything current. So do check them out, and thanks for sponsoring the network again, pnpgames.com. All right, man, let's get into the show. But before what we've been playing, anything new with you?
Not a whole lot. I mean, I've been doing a ton of work this week. I've been really busy filming and editing.
I've already asked you that. I was hoping that you'd say no so I could jump right into what I want to say.
I know.
I was being a jerk.
What's going on with you, Lloyd?
Well, I got a couple new things that I want to talk about.
I can't wait.
Finally, after a year of waiting, I got this little puppy here. This is my Pebble smartwatch, and I am so happy for it. If you guys are watching the live stream right now, this is my custom watch face that I wrote. I wrote a little C program to show up the lovely Winnipeg Jets logo that I did up. And then Jeff made fun of me because he's like, oh, Jets, derp derp. And I was like, okay, man, well then here you go. Here's for you when you get your own Pebble watch. And I did a nice Toronto Blue Jays watch face for him.
That's pretty sweet.
Really awesome. I love it. It's if you're not aware what the Pebble is, it's not really game related yet, but it's a smartwatch that ties right into your smartphone. So when you get a text message or a phone call on your iPhone or your Android phone, you actually get a notification right on your wrist. So whenever someone sends me a notification on Twitter, like an @ mention or a DM, or if I get a text message, it actually comes right to my wrist. So if I'm in the car, I just look at my wrist. I don't have to take out my phone and commit a crime. I can leave my phone in my pocket when I'm at work and still get communicated to from my wife if there's an emergency with the kids or something. Really, really awesome. But where it is kind of game related, there's the SDK was just released, version 1.1, that actually allows developers to make watch apps that talk to iOS and Android apps. So I'm working on a little demo app right now in my spare time, just so I can open up an app on my phone and I can get like live weather updates on my wrist just to kind of test it out. But I'm trying to think of ways that this can be used in gaming, like as kind of like not even a second screen, not really a second screen, but maybe a different way to do communication back to iOS apps. really cool little device. But I just wanted to mention it here because it is kind of geeky and gaming, and there's a really cool Pong watch face and a Tetris watch face. So there is game related stuff to do with it. So
Are they coming out with a color display version of that watch?
no, what they have right now, it's a black and white e-paper display.
Yeah.
And they did that because it's available. It's visible in all lights essentially. Like if you're in the middle of like 12 noon and the sun's beating down, you can see everything that's on your screen. You take out your iPhone, it's black. Like you can't see it. You take out your iPad, it's black. You take out your Android phone, it's black. With the e-paper, it allows you to basically see it at any time of day. It has a backlight, so if it's dark, you shake your wrist and the backlight comes on and you can see your time, which is really cool. And the cool thing about it is you get like 7 days of battery life on a small charge. You charge your watch for 2 hours and it gives you about 7 days of battery life. I last charged it on Monday. And I don't even have the 25% battery notification left. So I still probably have another few days of battery life on it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I really dig it. Really, really dig it. And
I haven't went back to digital watches since the first one I bought when I was like 8 years old. I really love analog watches and gears and dials and that kind of stuff.
So
it's a really wicked watch though, the Pebble. It's awesome.
So you'd love this watch face, which is an actual analog watch face that runs on your Pebble.
Yeah, but I mean like I've got the James Bond Quantum of Solace Omega watch here, and like I like metal and I like dials and the way it sounds, and
they can't do metal. They can't do metal, but there are a lot of watch faces that actually have dials that spin and other things like that. Yeah, it's as fancy as you want it to be. Some people have made some really great watch faces already.
Is there like a place where you go and download a bunch? Yeah,
there's a place, a website. Actually, if you go to, I'll post a link in the show notes to my watch face. But if you go to mypebblefaces.com, that is a user repository of a whole bunch of different watch faces that people have made. And if you go there and you do a search for Winnipeg, you can find the watch face that I did for the Winnipeg Jets. It's available there to download and stuff like that. So a lot of people are putting their watch faces up there, and
yeah, there are some really sick watches up here.
Yeah, it's stupid, man. There's ones that are actual games. There's people who've written stopwatch things. There's a little Mario one that jumps up and hits the blocks, and when he does, they change the time. There's Tetris. There's
the Star Trek one's cool, where it looks like a tricorder.
Yeah. There's thousands not thousands. I guess there's hundreds. There's a bunch of concepts which aren't actual released watch faces that are available, so it brings the number up quite a bit. But I think there's 400 plus watch faces that are available for download, and they're there, and you can download them and put them on your watch using the little iOS app, and it just
this one's like the Iron Man heads up display. That's really sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like a Space Invaders watch where you can actually play Space Invaders on your hand, on your wrist.
You know what? I didn't realize how how cool it would be to. This watch is the same every day. The only thing that changes about the watch is the clothes that I wear with it. But to be able to change. Oh, there's a Dharma one from like the Swan Station. I'm a big Lost fan, so that's wicked.
Yeah.
There's a Pokemon one. That's really cool. This I feel like you could do a Pebble podcast now, Lloyd, but totally. It's really cool that you get to change your watch face. How easy is it to do? By the way?
Here I was just about to show you. Like if you look on the camera,
there's boobs.
I hit a button, and there you go. Now there's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers face. I hit a button, and now it's the Toronto Blue Jays. I hit a button, and now it's the big text. You just hit a button on the thing, and it changes to all the faces that you've preloaded on it.
Keep it on that Blue Jays one.
No, I've taken it off I've officially deleted it from my wrist. Actually, I'll keep it. I'll upload it to Pebble Faces.
It's a really nice one.
So when you get a Pebble, you can actually download it and put it on your watch too, or put it on your wrist. Yeah, it's really cool.
You know what? The watch is cheap enough that it's not like it's like a big investment or anything. You know, this watch was $1,000. You know, like that one's $99, I think, right?
$150 if you buy it now. It was when I kickstarted, it was $125. I bought two of them, one for me and one for my wife. Hers is white; it hasn't shipped yet, so hopefully within the next month she'll get a white one. I wanted a gray one, but it was going to take forever to get there, so I changed it to black, and I got it about a week and a half ago.
There's this one right here that's. If you've ever watched Monty Python, The Ministry of Silly Walks, where the guy's crazy long legs are the dials on the watch, are the hands on the watch. That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's, like I said, I downloaded probably about 50 watch faces the first day and would just keep swapping them out. It was just so much fun.
I could look at these all day. Like I'm just flipping through the screen right now, and I'm like, man, I want to get this friggin' watch now.
And it's really cool. Like I said, someone calls me on my phone, and I get a little heads up display. It's like Jeff Ward is calling you, and you hit the top button to answer, you hit the bottom button to like dismiss, and then it hangs up on the phone call. So is
there like a microphone inside the watch?
No. There's no sound. The only thing it has is a buzzer. So when you get a notification, your wrist vibrates for a split second.
That's cool.
So it's meant for you to have, if you have like the Borg headset, you can answer the call, and then your headset will take over, or you could just see what's happening and then take out your phone and answer it that way. It's more of just like a heads up display for the notifications that are on your device.
The future, man. It's the future.
It's great. Like when Team Canada was playing for the IIHF World Hockey Championship, I had that app set to send notifications to my wrist. So whenever Canada would score or get scored on, I'd get a little notification on my wrist. I'd look at it. It's like, oh yeah, we're up 3-0, yay! And it's just like, holy crap, this is cool. Like it's kind of like a total first world problem. It's like, oh my god, I have to take my phone out of my pocket. Holy crap. But it's just having something on your wrist, like something that you'd always wear. Like I always have a watch on. But actually a week before I got this thing, my battery died in my watch. It's like, oh, my Pebble shipped. Do I want to go get the battery replaced, or should I wait? So I had no watch on my wrist for a week, which was like excruciating to me.
Yeah.
And then I finally get this thing.
I love to have a watch on.
And then I get this thing, and it's like, okay, now it's running my own watch face that I wrote. It has a nice little Winnipeg Jets logo, and it's like, this is really damn cool. I love everything about the Pebble. So anyway, I wanted to mention it just because there may be games in the future that that will run on your Pebble. Probably not, but it's more of a bragger.
The good thing about this watch is that it doesn't have a battery inside of it, so I have to wind it all the time, and I really get into that. I'd also will charge itself if I'm wearing it and I'm walking around and stuff. Just the motion of me, my watch dies and just shake it.
Yeah, I used to have a watch like that. They were pretty cool.
I like them.
Yeah, perpetual motion watches. That
what is this? A gaming show or a watch show?
Yeah, exactly.
We can do a watch podcast.
Well, let's talk about gaming. I did something today. I completed my Skylanders collection.
Wow.
So I don't have every Skylander, but I have one of every Skylander. So there's different variations. I went to Toys R Us today and I found a Ninjini, which is the latest giant that just came out. But it's not just Ninjini. It's the super rare Scarlet Ninjini. Toys R Us had 5 of them today, and I got the last one. So now I have.
I wish I knew what the hell you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, if you've played Skylanders, you've wanted the last giant forever because they just released it, unless you happen to be at the worldwide launch party or the announcement party for the new Skylanders game. They had them available at the Toys R Us in New York, and it's like, okay, so that was like a month and a half ago. So you need this one character to complete your set, but you couldn't get her. So now I have Ninjini.
How rare are we talking here? Like, if you sold it on eBay, could you make a profit?
This character, yes, because it's kind of like, have you ever collected like Star Wars characters or any of those types of action figures?
I collected G.I. Joes.
Well, it didn't happen with G.I. Joes, but for Star Wars characters, you'd get a case, like a store would get a case, and there'd be one unique figure in the box of 24 or 12, depending on the type of box. And those ones are always rare because they're like a different color, different uniform or whatever. This is kind of like that. This is like a special edition character that is hard to get, apparently. So yeah, I mean, I could probably sell it on eBay for $40 or $50.
Oh, I see. I understand. There's variants.
It's a variant, exactly. It's a variant of the character. So yeah, I was happy.
Yeah,
so
they didn't do that with G.I. Joe.
Now I get to play Skylanders again with my kids, which will be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's enough for kind of announcements and other stupid braggy things. Let's get into the show proper, man. Jeff, what have you been playing?
Well, I'm sure everybody is really just itching to know how I'm doing in MLB 13, the show. So I figure I might as well come on and just talk about it briefly. I've been playing it a lot. I'm playing it a ton on the Vita because while I watch baseball on TV, I will play it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about... I am not downloading anything right now. I didn't know I was breaking up. I'll turn the video off right now. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Road to the Show. Road to the Show is essentially like your RPG kind of portion of the game where You get to create a character. You get to, put different skill sets into attributes and all that kind of stuff. So I became a pitcher. You start at like the low minor ranks. You go to AA, and then if you do well enough, you get promoted to AAA, and then so on until you get up to the MLB. I've been having a blast playing this game. It's been really, really fun. Obviously I'm really into baseball, but it's just kind of cool to, because I do like RPGs, to have a bit of an RPG aspect to a sports game, I think is, on paper, doesn't seem like it would work. But it does work, and it's actually really, really fun. So I've been playing a ton of that. I was playing it before the show started. I also was on Carly's iPad the other day, and I was looking in the App Store, and I downloaded this thing called Flick Golf. Have you played it, Lloyd?
Yep.
Yeah? Holy shit, is this game addicting. It is so damn fun. All you do, I'm a big fan and a big proponent of games where all you do is flick your finger. I think those are the most perfect iPhone games that can be built. So you just flick the ball, it goes towards a green, and there's all these circles that have different denominations of points, and the closer you get, the more points you get, and you can control the spin of the ball in the air, you can control the direction, you can even control the spin once it gets on the ground. And I played through the entire game in, I don't know, maybe 3 hours. Like, I was just destroying it. I guess there are more courses that you can unlock later, or if you pay or something like that, but it's just a lot of fun. I mean, for a free game, I can't really ask much more. And that actually brings me into the next 3 games that I'm going to talk about. I've been playing a lot this week. Mm-hmm. I had to do a ton of video rendering, so I have a lot of free time to play some games. And one of them is called, I shit you not, Doritos Crash Course 2. There's actually 2 other Doritos funded games.
Mm-hmm. There was the one that how long ago was this? Probably about 5 years ago. They actually had a contest to design a game, and they ended up with someone winning, and they made the game, and it was like about dinosaurs chasing cars or something. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. Yeah. And I played that one. And that was after the hugely successful Burger King Xbox games that came out.
Sneak King and Big Bumpin'.
Yeah.
Sneak King was a scary game. I've never played a survival horror game that can compete with the fear of Sneak King.
Yeah, he's creepy.
You fucking creep around and give people burgers. Shit. It's a Burger King game that's entirely stealth-based. Mm-hmm. What the hell were they thinking? But it was really fun. So Doritos Crash Course 2, if anybody's ever seen the show Wipeout, where it's like an obstacle course and people are running through all these stupid things, it's very similar to that. You use your Xbox avatar. It's free to play, free to download. It is freemium, so if you want to buy more coins to unlock new levels, you can do that. But they're all things that you can do naturally in the game. It's just really, really hard to get very far in it. You basically just run your ass across this really I can't believe how well designed this game is, Lloyd. I really can't speak highly enough of how perfect the friggin' controls are. And you would think that a game that's called Doritos Crash Course 2 that's free would be just a pile of shit, but it's not. The controls are really tight. There's all these bounce pads that you're bouncing off of. There's different conveyor belts that have different speeds. The environment moves. There's these hammers that come down and knock you into the camera. It's just a blast. You wall jump. You can, grab onto ledges. And the big thing about a platforming game is if the controls and the gameplay isn't tight, the game suffers. This game has extremely tight controls. Very, very well made platforming elements. There was only one part in the game where it was like unfair. You could not get across. You basically couldn't run fast enough to get away from this obstacle. And then I realized that there was maybe they told me and I just skipped through it because I'm like, it's a stupid game. I'll figure it out as I go along. But there's like a turbo boost that makes you run faster. Right. And there's all these AI characters jumping around and trying to beat you and stuff. And so you get coins at the end of every level, and you use those coins to unlock the next level. At the beginning, they cost like 10 or 15 each. And you get, if you're collecting a lot of coins, you get roughly 12 or so per level. So you're always making just enough to get the next 2 levels. And then in the next tier, they cost 25, so they go up. And I got to the end of that tier, but I don't have enough coins to basically unlock the next tier. That shouldn't be a slight on the game because it is fun, and like with the coins you can also unlock alternate paths to certain courses.
Right.
So if I want to spend like 5 coins, I can unlock these other paths that open up more areas to get coins, and then so on and so forth. So it's actually a really fun game, even though it's just stupid as hell. It's still free on the Xbox Live Arcade. I highly recommend you picking it up. In fact, I was actually going to do a review of it, but I just did the review there. That was all I wanted to talk about was right there, so I'm not even going to do the review. Take that as my review. It's fun. It's free. You can pay for more stuff if you want. Don't do that, though. Don't give these people your money. Although they kind of actually deserve it for making a very strong game. It's bizarre how fun it is. Like, I downloaded it thinking, I'll get through like 2 levels and then be pissed off.
You've been brainwashed. You've been brainwashed.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's free achievements as well, too. I mean, they're very easy to get. I think I got like 150 towards my achievement score, and the game's like 300 megabytes or something. It's just a fun friggin' game. I can't say enough about it. Doritos Crash Course 2. That's on the Xbox Live Arcade only, I believe. I think it's exclusive. Another game I'm playing. Got 2 left here, guys. This one is another free game. It's called Equilibrium on the PS Vita. There was a game a while back, I want to say 6 years ago or so, maybe longer, and it was called Spore. Did you ever play it, Lloyd?
Yep.
Yeah. This game is similar to that in the regard that you're given a world to populate with trees and like different kinds of animals, and they have to essentially get together in this ecosystem that you're trying to build.
Yep.
And it uses the camera, I guess not the camera because it's not AR, but it uses the gyroscope inside the PS Vita. So you hold it up, then you hold down your left and right triggers, and then you move your arms, and you basically pan the camera around by pivoting your body. And you can see in front and behind you and down and up into the sky and stuff. And you can place things like trees that give the environment more oxygen. You can place things like weeds that give the environment more water. Then you place down animals that, feed off of this certain brush. But when they do that, they help out another kind of, tree or whatever. It's a very strange game. It's really well built, but it's boring as hell. I haven't really had a lot of time with it, so I'm probably going to play it a little bit more this coming week and come back and kind of give you like my definitive opinion on it. It's okay. I think it's really, really deep. And I think that kind of works against the game. Like there's too much going on here for it to really be fun. But it's free, so you can't really argue with anything. And here's the thing, even if it comes out that I don't like this game and I think it sucks, I'm just really happy that there's something different and unique on the Vita to play. Even if I don't like it, right? Somebody out there might. I'm just happy that someone is making an effort
to make any game.
It's like I should be shaking that person's hand, even if the game's a piece of shit. I'm going to thank you very much for trying something new.
Yeah, I don't know. This game came out in like early February or something, didn't it? It's been out for a while.
I never got around to playing it. And now all of a sudden it just popped up onto the store.
Is there in-app purchases inside of it?
There has to be. Yeah, but I haven't found them yet.
I'm wondering because I heard about it and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I'm like, there must be some crazy paywall. But maybe not. Maybe it's worth downloading just to check out. Maybe I'll have to do that on my Vita. You know what happened on my Vita? Like just because it popped in my head. You know how I bought the charging stand so I could just dock my Vita beside my bed? Yeah. The freaking charging stand broke. It's after 3 months, and it's an actual Sony peripheral. Like, what the hell, Sony? Really? Your handheld is terrible and not selling well, and then you make these accessories that die after 3 months. Oh, it made me really angry. Like, it made me more angry than it probably should have. Like, I was like, what the hell? And I was like flipping out. It made me very, very angry. But anyway, that was kind of a small little rat hole. Sorry.
Well, I agree. Like, I think if there were some games that you really enjoyed playing on there, you're like, well, I don't mind just hooking it up. Like mine, the cord just sits there on the floor and I put it up on the shelf. But It does. It does definitely, I think, make your opinion go down, uh, because there's you like you're it's sitting there charging, right? And you're like, okay, well, at least it looks cool on the dock.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
it,
haven't really played anything on it, and then the dock breaks, and you're like, that was the only thing I liked about this stupid thing.
and it was super convenient because it's on my bedside table, and I don't have any worry about the Vita falling off the bedside table because I push it aside because it's not laying on its back. It's on a dock, and then the freaking dock breaks, and it's like, really? This is a thing that can happen with your like real accessory. I should just give Sony a call and ask them for a replacement.
The
Yell at them.
PlayStation button down here in the corner
Yep.
glows blue when it's on charge. Doesn't that thing bug you? Like it's
No,
really
'cause
friggin' bright.
it pulses, right?
Yeah.
And I usually have my iPad kind of standing up charging in front of it, so I don't really notice it at night. But that was when you notice that you have notifications like people messaging you or whatever. It would do like the triple flash or whatever, which was really kind of cool. But yeah, it's just Sony. Come on, you can do better,
I think you
Sony.
should give Equilibrium a shot. It's very strange. I think if you liked Spore, it's tangentially related. They're not the same game at all. That's the closest thing I can relate the game to. And I don't really like the way you kind of move around the environment. It's the only way you can do it, unfortunately, too, is to use the accelerometer, and it just doesn't work very well. But it's weird. Again, I'm just kind of working my way through the tutorials, so I don't want to give like a firm decision or opinion on it just yet. But again, it's free, so you can't really go wrong with just trying it. You know,
Check it out.
At worst, you're just going to end up deleting it off your card, and it's whatever. The last thing I've been playing, which I've only really been playing for the last few hours, is Dust 514. It's a new release from this week. It's from the makers of EVE Online. It's set in that same universe, and it's basically a first-person shooter MMO kind of crossover thing. Again, I've only played it for a few hours. I think I played 3 matches of gameplay. It took a long time to download and install, 5 hours basically from the time I started downloading to the time I played. There was a massive game server update of 1.3 gigabytes, which added to the game file size of, I think it was like 2.4 gigabytes to download this friggin' game.
Wow.
But it's free. In-app purchases range from $1.99 to $100. But again, it's not a game where you need in-app purchases. You can definitely grind out and unlock all these. The game is so deep. And again, this is something I'm going to be reviewing next week for sure, because I'm going to play the shit out of this. I'm very addicted to it already. Every game that's kind of an RPG or has RPG elements will have some sort of skill tree, right? But the way they do this, which I think is very clever, but also kind of a pain in the ass, because they're definitely encouraging you to buy in-app purchases. Anything that you want to upgrade has to be unlocked, and then you can add points to it. So when you get to the base tree of, I just want to improve my armor, you have to unlock the ability to improve your armor first.
I
so
hate
you
that.
unlock that, and then inside there, you have to level up, I guess, your desire to improve certain aspects of your armor, because you have to get, I want my desire to improve my armor to level 2 so that I can start unlocking the armor plating. And then when you get to armor plating, you have to unlock the ability to add points into that skill tree.
I hate it.
So they're certainly setting it up for that way. But, you know, if you do well in the game, I'm clearing like 100,000 points the last 3 games in a row. And if you win, you get bonuses, you know, and one of the cool things is if you want to work together with someone who's playing EVE Online, they can give you contracts, and in that bonuses for doing certain objectives in the multiplayer matches. Good gunplay. I get stuck on a lot of weird objects. Some movement's a little bit hard. I'm going to make a lot of enemies when I say this, but the PS3 controller is a piece of garbage, and it controls terribly on first-person shooters. I hate that controller. Convex thumbsticks are the worst design I've ever felt in my life. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that's my feeling. I really, really hate that stuff. But other than that, it's a really, really fun game. It looks great. The production quality is extremely high for a free game. It's very deep. Tons of customization, tons of weapons to use and different ways to mod them and different abilities for your suit and all that kind of stuff. It's really fun. I'm having a blast with it so far. We'll see how long that fun lasts. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this game. And I think you should give it a shot, Lloyd. Again, it's free to play. So you really have no, you got nothing to lose is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I've read a lot about it, and I'm not a fan of EVE Online.
Yeah.
The whole let's strike up a treaty between two warring factions and trade. I want to trade spice with you, and it's like, dude, I don't understand why that's fun to people, but it is, and it's huge, and there's actual like cons for EVE Online where people fly to Iceland and play this thing, and it's just like, really? All right.
I tell you that Dust has nothing to do with that kind of stuff. Dust is all like,
sure,
oh, okay, so like a
yeah,
deal
no,
with
but
sour
it's
and we're
the
just
same.
going-
It's the same world is what I'm getting at. Like, it just it's weird, and people that play EVE Online can actually contract you, send you contracts to work for them, and they give you benefits, and you give them benefits. So some of the biggest factions in EVE Online will be basically amassing like thousands of slaves that are actually doing stuff for them in this game, and it's just like, this is so weird. I don't understand
really
why
weird.
this is a thing, but apparently it's a thing.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about that, we talked about it before the show started, I just want to mention to people, maybe kind of whet their appetite for this game, is if you know someone who plays EVE and they're really into it, you can get them to help you out in game. So because the battles take place inside of the world that's being played in EVE Online every day, you can get them. The PC players are playing essentially in space, right? And you're playing on the ground.
Yeah.
So if you're like, hey, man, I know you're online. This battle's going really, really sour for us. I need some help. Can you drop in some supplies? They can get in a spaceship and fly over top of the battlefield and drop in ordnance and drop in, jeeps or whatever kind of stuff that you have the ability to unlock and help you out mid-game. I think that's really cool. But yeah, you're right. There is a weird kind of sentiment about,
you're just slaves. You're fodder.
Yeah,
You're fodder
yeah.
for the people that are paying the monthly fee to play this online game.
Which by the way is the like kind of the way the military works, in a sense.
Exactly.
So it's
I
very
get it.
realistic. in
I
that
get
way.
it. They're probably all laughing in their mother's basements about this thing. That's a big stereotype about EVE Online players, I guess. I don't know. I'll check it out. I'll check it out just because you say it's fun, but we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. So yeah, I just spent the last like half hour talking about what I've been playing this week. So what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a fair bit. I'll just talk about a couple things. I picked up The Amazing Spider-Man for the Wii U, mainly because there's nothing else to play on the Wii U, because no one's making games for it. And this is actually a game that has been out for about a year, and it's now out in the Wii U, and it comes with it comes with all the DLC. So I don't know how to unlock any of the DLC because it doesn't tell you how to do that, but it's all there. And you know what? It's actually a really fun game. I've been playing that with my kids and having a good time with it. Like flying around the city on a web, collecting items, stopping random like violence from happening has been really fun. So I've been enjoying that. Also picked up Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I'll do a review later in the episode about that because it's a hell of a lot of fun. And one of the other games that I've been spending a lot of time on is it's called Zombies Animales de la Muerte. It's a iOS title that came out from High Voltage Software. This game was actually announced about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was supposed to be a Wii like Wii Shop title or whatever. It was supposed to be a downloadable game on the Wii, and it just never surfaced. And I thought it was dead. And the next thing you know, it just like all of a sudden appears on your iPad. And basically it's a game. It's kind of like a cross between like Plants vs. Zombies and a line drawing game. So you start your character on the left-hand side of the screen, and you're drawing lines to kill the zombies that are trying to eat these animals. And there's 5 tracks from top to bottom. So zombies can appear on any of those 5 tracks. As you get further and further in the game, there's different types of zombies. The first one is like a zombie monkey. And then it gets to like a zombie penguin, which slides, and if he slides underneath your when he's sliding, he's invulnerable because your attacks go over top of him. But then you can unlock other weapons that will hit him even if he's or sliding rather. Then there's elephants, which take 2 attacks. There's zombie rhinoceros, where your attack will bounce off their horn, and it basically just layers on top of each other difficulty and more convoluted ways of killing these zombies with different special weapons. It is so awesome. I did a full review of it on the latest Touch of Gaming. So if you want to hear more about Zombies Animals de la Muerte, do check it out. Touch of Gaming, which was posted up yesterday. Do check it out over at vgpodcast.com. But it is a really, really, really fun game. It's $3 on the App Store, and it's worth every penny. So go check that one out.
Great name on that game too. I love game. When a game has a stupid name, for whatever reason, I give it more clout than I should. I'm like, oh, that's a dumb name. I bet you I'm going to like that game for some stupid reason.
It's a very like Day of the Dead kind of thing. Like when you play each mission, you can get 5 stars, but they're not really 5 stars. You get 5 sugar skulls. So it has like the whole kind of Day of the Dead kind of motif going. It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun game. And for $3, it's a no-brainer. Everybody that I've shown it to has really dug it. So if you have an iOS, like if you have an iPad, because I think it only runs on the iPad, definitely go check that one out.
Cool.
All right, well, let's get into the rest of the show. Let's talk about some new releases. Last week that we didn't do a show, a couple games came out. The first one is Monaco finally hit the Xbox 360. This game apparently had multiple show-stopping bugs, and they were submitting multiple updates to Microsoft before it finally was able to be launched on the App Store. So if you've wanted to check out Monaco, What's Yours Is Mine, you can now do that on the Xbox 360. A free game, a freemium title on the App Store called Sid Meier's Ace Patrol came out. So Sid Meier obviously has made a lot of games, and he now has made an iOS game, and it's available.
I heard this game is great. Have you played it yet?
I have not. It's essentially a port of like a really old board game. So people are saying that it's kind of convoluted a little bit, kind of janky a little bit. But I've downloaded it. I just haven't fired it up on my iPad. I'll have to do that this weekend. And see how it actually is. Also coming out last week was Mario and Donkey Kong Minis on the Move. It's a $10 3DS eShop download, and it's the next iteration of Mario Minis. So this one is more of a puzzle game where you're kind of making tracks, like the old Pipes games where you're putting pipes so the stuff can flow. It's been getting some really good reviews. I think it's about a 75 on Metacritic, so it's probably liked by more than hated. One of the games that I really want to I really do want to check out. I just had a lack of time, so I'll probably do that over the next little while. So if you want Mario Minis, there's a good one available for $10 apparently on the eShop. Check it out.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of puzzle games like this, and if it wasn't for a lot of other free games coming out this week, this is probably one I'd be picking up just because I want to be using that 3DS more often, and I still haven't played it in quite some time. So, but it looks like it's going to be really fun. I've watched some videos, and it looks cool.
And Joe Foreman has popped into the chat room just to say that it sucks and it gets a 2 out of 5. So thanks for stopping by, Foreman. This
awesome. Week we've had a lot of stuff come out. The first one being, I think, probably the biggest release of this week is Metro Last Light. It's available on the PC, the Xbox 360, and the PS3. Unquestionably, the best version of which is the PC. Apparently, from what I've heard and the kind of response of that game, it's one of the best looking PC games out there right now. The level of detail is unbelievable. I hope to be playing it next week. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully have a review out as well. Again, like I said earlier, Dust 514 on the PS3, freemium game. Highly recommend downloading it. I'll have a review of that next week as well too. Sanctum 2 on the PC. PC. I've been drinking too much water. My mouth is all watery. PC and Xbox 360 has been dropped this week. This is a sequel to a game that I don't know much about. I know that there is a lot of people who are talking about it, but I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't really know anything about this game, but I've heard so much about it, especially on Facebook too. It's been really weird. I mean, do you ever have the situation where a bunch of people are talking about a game they're just rabid about, and you have no idea what the hell they're talking about? This is that game for me.
I get it. I get that a lot on the show, actually.
MLB 13, the show. The next one on the list is Anomaly 2. It's available on PC, and I always find this funny. I always put it in there. PC, Unix, and Mac. Every time I hear the word or see the word Unix, I think of that stupid girl from Jurassic Park, the hacker girl. It's a Unix system. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
It came out on
knows how to use
iOS a long
either.
time ago, but now it's on every other platform out there because it's on Steam.
Black Ops 2 Uprising DLC finally came out on PC and PS3. Anybody who isn't on the Xbox is always a month behind of all the DLC. So with that, last weekend was Double XP weekend for Black Ops 2, and this weekend is Double Weapon XP. So if you're interested in leveling up some guns, this would be the weekend to do it because you're going to get Double XP for those. Borderlands 2 Psycho Pack DLC is available for the PC, the Xbox 360, and the PS3. Haven't heard much about this one. I don't know if this is this a story-based DLC?
No. This is another class. You basically get to play as one of the psychos. So the guys that scream and come running at you with axes. It's $10, and this is the first DLC that has come out that isn't part of the season pass. So if you've bought the Borderlands 2 season pass, you're gonna have to pony up $10 for it. And essentially, you get to play as one of the psychos. He's a melee level character and a very risk versus reward kind of character because you power up the more damage you take, and so you want to get set on fire, you want to get hit, you want to get shot, because the more you get hurt, the more powerful your attacks get, and then the more life you'll get back by using some of your special moves. So he's a character that can pretty much one-shot a lot of the like badass class characters in the game once you've leveled up and gotten the right moves and stuff. I haven't checked it out. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 2, all the other DLC. I don't know if I want to pay $10 just to play as another class. I'm still having fun with the game, but something about this is really intriguing. The fact that you get more power the more damage you get kind of makes it seem sort of like a fun, different way to play the game. So I might check it out in the near future.
Was there any blowback from the community about them having to pay for something that should probably be included into the
I don't think so. I mean, the season pass gave them 4 full DLC packages and some other stuff. Like it's a lot of content. I mean, the season pass was what, $29, I think, and they got 4 $15.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, they got 4 $15 DLC expansions plus a bunch of other stuff as well. So
you get 2 for free, really? Then
yeah, essentially it was a really good deal. I wish I would have got the season pass when I first bought the game, but I was stupid and did not do that.
And like you said, this isn't a story-based DLC anyway, so it's not really like you're missing out on some sort of integral part.
No, it's just another character class if you wanna do that.
Cool. And the last thing released this week is another piece of DLC. A lot of DLC this week, and I think we're going to see that more and more every week. Is that there are going to be fewer and fewer releases and more DLC. I think DLC is a really good way for game publishers to make sure that you don't ever take back their game. And then, just try to destroy the used market in some weird way. We'll just keep selling them content for the same game. Last one is Metal Gear Rising Revengeance Blade Wolf DLC. That's available for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Story-based DLC, from what I understand, adds a story-based mission that roughly lasts between 2.5 and 3 hours, depending on how good you are at the game. But adds a ton more of that hack and slash stuff that everybody seems to be really getting off on that game. Probably some of the best sword play kind of stuff, physics that you've ever played through. I just hated the friggin' controls. Couldn't stand them.
Yeah.
Did you ever play that demo?
Yeah, I didn't like it much.
It's tough to get into. Like I feel
it's
like
cool.
It is cool
to be able to paper thin slice all the different objects in the game. That's kind of neat.
And people, just go up and hack a car in half with your sword.
Yeah, I mean that was sweet, but yeah, kind of not something I wanted to play.
It just felt like every time I pulled out the sword, I became a statue. I couldn't move and hack it, or at least I couldn't because I just wasn't good enough.
It felt more like a Resident Evil game where you kind of have to be sort of stationary to do your good attacks, and then you're leaving yourself open. It was kind of a weird kind of mix. I found.
I didn't get into it.
Cool. All right. Well, that's going to about do it for new releases. Do you want to take a small break and then we'll get into a review and then hit the news right away?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we're going to take a small couple minute indie music break. Let's try this. Let's try the random chiptune thing again because it's been good for us for the last few episodes, Jeff.
Yeah, it definitely has.
Hasn't hurt too much. So here we go. We'll do a random chiptune and we'll be back in a couple minutes. So see you then. All right, so I faded that one a little bit harsh. Sorry about that.
It's a nice chill track right there.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was called Extra Bonus Time. It was from Yon Turpin. Seems to be whenever I do a random, it's either like one of the 5 Yon Turpin tracks that were on this compilation that I have, or Starship Amazing. It's like really weird, and there's like 300 songs in this playlist. I don't understand why that is happening, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. So yeah, that one was Extra Bonus Time. So it was kind of fitting to be here on the bonus stage. I almost forgot the name of the show.
just basically a paragraph of sentence fragments. Just no punctuation.
Skip, deep, bloop, blop, skip, bloop is what I wanted to say. I forgot one thing in what we've been playing. I started playing this web-based game called Candy Box. Have you heard of it?
I have not actually.
It's basically you leave it open and you collect candies every second, and then you use the candies to buy lollipops, and then you buy lollipops to plant them, and then they make more lollipops on the lollipop tree, and then you use them to go on quests and find things. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it just keeps running and running and staying and running and running and running. So anyway, I thought I'd mention it. I'll post the link in the show notes. It was hot on Twitter for a while. People were talking about it, and I stayed away, but then I decided to play it, and it's actually really bizarre. So I don't get it yet. I don't quite get what the whole thing about it is. So I wanted to mention it anyway. So check out... check it out. It's called Candy Box, and I'll post a link in the show notes. All right, so let's get into a small review. I'm going to talk about a game that I played called Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. It is a downloadable title on the PlayStation Network. It's $15, available on Xbox 360 as well, and it is a love letter to the 1980s that is wrapped up in a modded version of Far Cry 3, essentially. In this game, you play a character that has the best name that has ever been named.
Yeah.
You are Sergeant Rex Power Colt. And you're voiced by Michael Biehn, where if you've watched any action movies from the 80s, you know his voice. I mean, he's been in every terrible action movie from the 80s.
But he's also been in some great ones. Most notably, I think he was the main character in Terminator.
I say terrible as in like awesome. Like not terrible as in this is the worst movie I've ever seen, but like all the 80s action movies were just terrible, but they were so good because they were terrible. Like RoboCop, terrible, but it was such a great movie.
He wasn't in that, though, was he?
No, he wasn't in it, but I'm just saying, like, it's that kind of thing where it's just terrible.
RoboCop's actually
awesome.
Really great.
Yeah, because it's terrible for so many different ways.
It's a Paul Verhoeven movie, so he's known for just like...
Okay, we don't have to get movie geeky on here.
I know.
I'm just saying
I was going to start.
It's terrible for so many ways, which makes it so awesome. And yeah, Michael Biehn was in all these things. And this is what this game is. It basically starts out and you get the Ubisoft logo, and it plays like you've put in a VHS tape that you haven't put into your VHS, and your VHS is really. Do you know what VHS is, Jeff? Are you too young to know what VHS? You're like a young pup, aren't you?
This is a joke, right?
No.
I used to have a monster VHS collection, almost 400 tapes when I had my movie.
I'm kidding. I heard another podcast, and the one thing that this person said is, yeah, there's this weird thing, like in the loading screens, there's this little tracking thing on the bottom, and I don't understand what that tracking thing is. And I'm just like, holy crap. I'm older than people that are commenting on video games now. I don't understand. But anyway, the whole game is set as in like as in the 80s, basically never went away. So the intro is like this really bad video that is on a VHS player that is dirty. So the video shifts and the audio kind of jerks up and down, and it's really grainy, and the tracking goes in and out, and you get kind of like pitch shift or video shift.
Got to set that trim on the VHS tape.
Yeah, exactly, and it's really awesome. And basically, you're in a world where Vietnam 2 happened, and nuclear bombs went off, and they destroyed Canada.
The sequel to the much loved Vietnam 1.
Exactly. Like it's just like all this weird things. And you play a character that is he's a cyber commando. You're actually a Mark IV cyber commando. Again, Sergeant Rex Colt Sergeant Rex Power Colt is your name. And basically you're running around with cybernetic enhancements, shooting guns and killing things. And it's called Blood Dragon because the big bad thing in this game is these dragons that fire freaking laser beams from their mouths. And you're basically going around this world. So it's similar to Far Cry 3. I haven't played Far Cry 3, but I've seen enough Far Cry 3 to know that you're basically running from encampment to encampment. There's random stuff that's happening. You're trying to take over like buildings, and they become places that you can actually spawn in after that. This is set up in a similar way, except these places are manned by other cybernetic creatures, humans that are more cyber than human, and you basically run into them, you kill them, and then you rip out their heart, and then you put in your pocket because you use those hearts to then summon these blood dragons that then come in and just wreck everything. Like they eat people, they throw them in the air, laser blast them into smithereens. And that is essentially all Blood Dragon is. It's like 80s music, really retro visuals, neon, awesome lasers, and you are running around saying all the worst lines that you've ever heard in an 80s movie. Like really bad, but so good because it is so bad.
What did you think of the tutorial? Because I watched a video of that and I was just howling.
The tutorial is the best. Like it starts off and saying, this is the jump button. Hit the jump button to jump. It is the jump button because it allows you to jump. And then you hit X. And the only thing you can do is hit X to jump. And all the loading screens tell you, the first loading screen that comes up says, the loading screens will tell you super useful facts to help you with your game. And the first one that comes up is, grenades explode. If there's a grenade by you, walk out of the way. And it's like useless little tidbits like that. Like, you cannot walk through walls, so try to use doors. Like stupid little things like that. And
it's unfortunate that that's very similar to the on-screen kind of like, or the loading screen help that Call of Duty always gives you. You know, like if you're taking fire, duck down behind cover. Like, oh, thanks, game. You know, I'm walking around with my head up my ass. You know, I love that it pokes fun at that kind of stuff and does it so well. You know, like it makes you feel stupid about it, but then you're like, well, it's a video game. You know, like I just walk away. You know, it's
totally. And it's just like it's so tongue in cheek, and they're making fun of all like video game tropes that you run into as you play video games, like the climbing up random bits of shrubbery, but somehow you can use it to climb up walls. They make fun of that. He makes stupid comments. He talks about how I'm gonna dig your grave and it's gonna be covered in 10 feet of shit, and it's just like it's like what Duke Nukem should have been. Like it's like all the worst like lines that have ever come out of 80s video, all put into this like awesome little $15 package. It's like it's a love letter to my childhood because I grew up in the time that they're making fun of, and it is so awesome. So anyway, you don't need the original Far Cry 3 to play it. It's a standalone experience. And it's $15, and it is something that you need to go play if you can stand people swearing, because there are a lot of swears in this game, and a lot of really bad jokes. But they are so good. Like I laughed out loud in multiple areas in the game.
Is it safe to say that there's nothing like this out there? And there's never been anything like this out there?
I wouldn't say there was never anything like this. This is similar to like the old total conversion mods that you would get, where they would basically take a game and totally replace sort of everything except some of the textures and then make a new story out of it. Or some of the mods that like id was putting out for some of their games, where they'd come out with like a sequel that was a little bit different but kind of the same. But it's kind of cool to see that sort of stuff come up now, where you can buy a game for $60 and then maybe that will spawn a few $15 kind of like re-rolled versions of those games. The game itself is really short. If you play through the main missions, and if you go from the start and then you go to the end, you're probably only going through 5 or 6 real missions. Some of them are pretty involved, where you have to like blow up a dam, and you do that by getting C400. And it's C400 because it's more powerful than C40, and it's 100 times more powerful than C4, and which is like, well, that's pretty obvious. But then you plant all this C400 on this dam, and then you hit the button, and then it just kind of goes, and it's like, oh, it didn't explode. So you have to find some other way to blow the dam. So these missions can take half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on how you do. But they're strung together by all these random missions where you have these cyber enemies that are killing the scientists, and they'll just be like random battles all over. And then a blood dragon will come in and start like wrecking the place up. And then you throw a couple hearts and lead the blood dragon over to another building, and then have the blood dragon attack and assault the building, so you can come in the background or come through the back door, kill all the enemies, and then take it over and use it as another spawn point. Besides the regular missions, when you take over a stronghold, you basically get the ability to do other missions, and so you have to do kill quests or save scientists or do other things. And once you do that, you unlock weapon upgrades. So you can take your machine gun and then put an upgrade on it that makes it fire faster, or makes it reload faster, or makes it shoot frickin' lasers, which is one of the best weapons in the game, is the machine gun that fires lasers, because it just lights people on fire. It's super, super fun. And that's essentially the game. It's not a lot of content, but there's so much other stuff to do that it makes it worthwhile. I think I spent about 8 hours to kind of get, I think I got 70% of the trophies, which means that I'm missing like 3 because there isn't a huge number of trophies in this game.
Yeah.
So
they're usually between 20 and 25 or so. That's how they work it with achievements anyway.
Yeah, and so you're not going to get any platinums in this game, and there's I think 1 gold and 3 silvers, and then the rest are all bronzes, because I played on the PlayStation 3. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of fun, man. I can't say anything bad about it. It's $15. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Just the intro alone is great. Like you're starting on this battle, and then you get in a helicopter, and you're lighting people up with this like chain gun, and then it's playing like this like old 50s track in the background, which is just totally doesn't fit in with the action. But if you've ever watched 80s action movies, oftentimes they'd use whatever track they could license, and they would kind of just throw it in there. And it's just
sounds like a guy recorded in a Casio keyboard, right?
Totally. And it's just like, that's in there. And the Casio keyboard music's in there, like this really bad synth music that doesn't really even have a start or a finish. It's kind of like filler.
Yeah.
It is a love letter to the 1980s. I love everything about this game. And apparently this game was meant to sell 5 copies, and it's done so well that they're actually talking about a sequel. So there's going to be a sequel to a game that is based off another game which was already a sequel. So I don't know what kind of rip in time it's going to open, but Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon gets a huge thumbs up from me. Go check it out. It's $15 well spent on Xbox or PlayStation 3.
Are you going to pick up Far Cry 3 now?
It's a game that I want to play. It's on my list.
It's night and day different. But
yeah, totally. It's a game that it's been out for long enough that I don't want to pay full price for. So I'm going to wait till it drops down to like $30. And it's just waiting to find a copy for around that price. It's definitely on my list of must buys when I can actually find a copy for a good price.
It's a really good game. Mm-hmm. Really good game. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is that once it's over, it's kind of hard to go back in that world and like do other things, because they're not really all that interesting. But the story's really great, and then it gets really weird, and then it gets kind of dumb. This game
has some of the hunting things that Far Cry 3 had, except you're not really.
But they refined. I hear that they refined that crafting system, so you don't have to go and like hunt out like very specific types.
Exactly. You're not actually hunting specific animals to then make a better ammo pouch. You're hunting the animals because there's an achievement for killing all of the cybernetic animals. So there's sharks with laser beams. There's cyber turtles, cyber ostriches, cyber goats, or hell goats, I think they're called, because they look like their skins melting away. The game is just so good. It's so good. I love everything about this game. So if you haven't picked it up, Jeff, you should really go do that. It is a lot of fun.
You know what? I want to, but at the same time, quite frankly, the art style is annoying to me.
Oh, dude, no. When you play the game, it makes sense. Like the neon, the purple, the pink, it makes sense when you play the game.
I know that it makes sense, and I understand why. Like, it's the aesthetic that they chose, and I think it fits well. It's just not something that like I look at and go, yeah, I want to see that a lot. You know?
No, trust
Quite
me.
frankly, the
Trust me. When you get into the game,
I'll play the demo. I'll play the demo for
you'll
sure,
love
and then kind of see
you'll love
how
it.
things go.
You will love it, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. That's a bold statement, Lloyd.
I know you. I know I've
though?
done enough shows
Do
with
you?
you. I do.
Do you?
I do. I know you hate everything until you love it, and then you won't stop talking about it until you hate it again, and then you will never play it again unless
That's
it's
true.
MLB the Show.
That's yes. Okay,
All right.
you might know me a little bit.
I know-
I'll concede that.
I know a little bit about you, Jeff Ward. All right, let's get into the news. Let's kick it off
Lots of
with Nintendo Direct. There's a Nintendo Direct today. I'm just going to cover the high notes. Some people in the chat room are asking about it because they were at work and didn't get to get the news as it happened. First off, it was short. It was supposed to be about Wii U games, and Wii U games weren't really talked about. It was
kind of weird, wasn't it?
It was very sad. I'm even more sad than I was before that my Wii U is sitting there gathering dust. But anyway, it started off.
I feel like I just want to quickly tell. I feel like in the next little while, I feel like it's going to be. I don't want to say do or die, but that's how I'm going to say it, even though that's not the case, because I just can't find other words. I feel like it's going to be a do or die situation for the Wii U and for Nintendo. And I feel like after we kind of talk about Nintendo Direct, we should talk a little bit about what Nintendo seems like they're planning, because I have we'll get into it for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some interesting
It's
stuff
very
happening.
interesting.
All right, so they kicked it off with actually a pretty big announcement that Nintendo has gone into a worldwide partnership with Sega. And this partnership is going to do some things, one of them being 3 exclusive titles that will only come out on Nintendo. The first one they showed off some screens for, it's the new Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games for the new Winter Olympic Games that are coming out. They showed some graphics, looks a lot better than the Wii one, obviously. They showed some of the things you'll be doing. So there was like bobsledding and curling and ski jumping and stuff like that. But
Games
there's
we've
also,
come to know for sure.
yeah, but there's some other things that they've done where they've added some weird things that can only ever exist in video games. So you'll be skiing, but you're not just skiing down a hill. You're skiing in a place where you're jumping across big pits and valleys and hitting jumps. So it's more like a game. Than just like a downhill ski thing. They had this one race where, depending on the gate that you go through, you're either going to be skiing for the next portion of the race on a bobsled or something else. So they're trying to change it up a little bit, but it's still an Olympic game. I mean, they're okay. They're never that much fun.
Did you ever play the Summer Olympics game for Sonic and Mario?
No.
I
played
remember. Sorry, go ahead.
I played the Winter Olympic one because that came out early in the Wii's lifespan, and it was like, yay, more Wii stuff. I want Waggle. And then by the time the Summer Olympics came out, it was just like, yeah, I've kind of been there, done that.
You know, it's funny because I remember going over to, maybe it was Tom's house. I can't remember when I was going over to somebody's house, and they were like, hey, you want to play Sonic and Mario? It's Summer Olympics. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, sure. It sounds like another stupid game. And then like 20 minutes later, I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
God damn it! Like,
see, that's the sad thing about all of the Waggle fests that Nintendo put out. If you gave them a chance, they were fun, and it wasn't the game so much. It was the fact that you're in a room with a bunch of other people having a laugh. Like we played so much WarioWare just because I had people in my house and there'd be 8 of us drinking like crazy, playing video games and having fun, and that was great. That was great fun. But yeah, it's just, I don't know about this one. They did announce some more of the Sega partnership. They announced a game called Sonic Lost World, and that's really all they showed off.
Exclusive too.
It's exclusive. Like all these games will be exclusive to Nintendo, which is great. And they said there's going to be one other title, so that's pretty cool. They also announced that Sega Game Gear titles are coming to the 3DS Virtual Console.
That's cool.
Which is great. They showed off some of the titles. So there's Sonic. There's what else? There was a whole bunch of other. They showed off probably about 14 Game Gear titles, which is kind of neat. I don't know if I really want to play Game Gear titles for $5 on a Virtual Console when I could buy pretty much every Game Gear cartridge for about $3 used. If
Yeah.
you could find a Game Gear that still works, that is.
That's true. And I mean, they also suck through batteries really, really good, and
Yeah.
the displays were pretty rough on them.
Yep.
You know what? A couple of dollars more for your favorite games, not too much to pay, but there are a lot of great games on the Game Gear, so you could be paying $60, $70, $100. There's a monster library for that friggin' thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so that was a pretty interesting announcement. They announced a few other things. Legend of Zelda: Oracle Ages and Oracle Seasons. Those are the Game Boy Zelda games. They're coming on May 30th. And they're going to be $6 each. But if you buy them in the first 3 weeks, they're only going to be $5 a piece. And these are games that, if you had the original Game Boy, you could link together two Game Boys, one running one version, the other one running another version, and it would unlock other things to do in the game. Different bosses, different dungeons, and things would get unlocked by linking them all together.
You don't have to link them. I think it was a code, wasn't it? Once you beat the game, you could use the code to start another one. And if you started them in a different sequence, then you would get the ultimate ending or something.
I'd have to search because that's so long ago on the original Game Boy. I thought you had to link them together through the link cable, but maybe you could put a code if you didn't have a link cable. I'm not 100% positive on that either way. But
they were definitely fun. They were good games.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun. I had one of them because, well, I had one Game Boy and I played it and it was good. So I'm pretty much going to be picking them up just because I want to play them again. And that would be fun. And $10 is a pretty good price for two really good portable Zelda games, even though most of the game is going to be the same because there is some stuff shared or between the two games. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm looking on the Wikipedia right now. It says if one game is played as a sequel to the other by a linked password, Twin Rova, I guess doesn't matter which one you do it in order. Twin Rova captures Princess Zelda, and there's like a different ending where I guess the two games kind of combine into a new thing. So it's a linked password system.
Interesting.
Which I guess you could like just get offline now. You don't even have to play the game a second time and get just beat it once, which is actually kind of interesting. But
yeah, I guess you could do that. So yeah, now you'll be able to get them for $10, and they link through the Virtual Console, so you can they share data with each other, and you go from there, which is pretty cool. They announced that new Super Luigi U is coming on June 20th, and they announced the pricing. It's going to be $20 as downloadable content, or if you want to buy a actual retail release on August 25th that will be coming out for $30, which is going to be a disc that is only going to have the new Super Luigi U content on it, which seems really bizarre. I don't understand why you do that. But anyway, $20 is a little bit more than I thought it should be. Actually, I thought it should be free as kind of an apology for how terrible the Wii U launch is. But in reality, I thought maybe $10, $15. I guess $25 right before the show because I thought, wait, this is Nintendo. They're gonna gouge for as much as they possibly can. But $20 is pretty good. I'll probably pick it up, I guess, because I'm a sucker. But it looks like it could be a lot of fun.
You want to play that friggin' console, right?
I want content on the console. I spent money on it. I want to do more with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. So anyway,
but yeah, you're a sucker, is what you're.
I'm really a bit of a sucker, and I'm getting suckers in my lollipop farm on Candy Box. So that's good too.
Oh.
They also announced the launch date for the Wonderful 101 that will be September 15th. So
I know nothing about that.
It's a game where there's 101 superheroes that run together in a world, and you kind of guide the clump.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. That looks awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people like it. It's a Platinum Games developed title, so people are wanting to get this on the Wii U. I'm pretty excited for it, but we'll see what it actually is gonna actually turn out to be.
Yeah, that did look really cool. I think I remember watching a trailer with you like when we were doing These Dudes. It was a long time ago, and I was like, man, that's from a Nintendo Direct a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Or was it E3?
It was announced when the Wii U was announced. I think like not the actual Wii U, but when they had that event that gave all the details about it, and they announced all the titles. That's when they announced that Bayonetta 2 was coming. Then they announced Wonderful 101. So it's been out like announced for a while, but it's good to actually see an actual release date. I was getting kind of worried that it was canceled because, well, And everybody's canceling their games for Wii U, but we'll get to that
as
later.
we'll talk about
Yeah,
later.
we'll get to that a little bit later. All right, so that's it for Nintendo Direct. Jeff, why don't you talk about some other stuff besides Nintendo?
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, Call of Duty is kind of a big game, and they bring out one every friggin' year.
What is Call of Duty?
It's a game where you shoot guys.
Oh, so you shoot things?
Yeah, you shoot things.
How do you shoot the things?
With a gun.
This is the same conversation we had earlier before we started the show. So sorry, guys.
It's very similar to Dust in that regard. So Call of Duty, it's been officially announced that the new Call of Duty is Call of Duty Ghosts. If you remember from, I want to say maybe a month, 2 months ago, I reported on a story. I like to say I reported on a story. It makes me feel a lot more important than I really am. But I talked about a story where it was leaked information from a YouTuber by the name of Drifter, who had a source inside of Activision who said that the new game was going to be called Call of Duty Ghosts. That is now confirmed. It's going to be coming to current gen and next gen consoles. Current gen will probably launch in and around November, the same time as always, but around the 11th or so, Veterans Week, Remembrance Day kind of thing. But here's that's funny. Here's where things get a little bit different. I believe from what I've been reading and kind of the sources that have been moving around and stuff, you can't expect that the next gen game to come out on the same date. Look for that to be around a month later, early December, because the consoles won't have a launch lineup that actually kind of competes with that November 11th or around there. So you can't really bring out a game that doesn't have a console available yet. So they're going to probably push the launch of that a little bit. But this game is going to have an all-new, brand-new engine that's specifically made for Call of Duty. So that's very new, and that's something that's really interesting. Call of Duty has been using a modified Quake 3 engine since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and that game was put out in 2006. So they've been using the exact same engine for 7 years. That's a long, long time. So this is the first game that has a brand new revamped engine that is specifically made for Call of Duty, which I think will take a lot of the lag issues out of the game. But we'll see what happens. They released this really, really cool, really well-filmed trailer, but it's something that told us nothing about the game. It's about warriors wearing different masks, and they have a bunch of weird guys wearing different masks. Call of Duty Ghosts is going to be coming out this year. That's your Call of Duty news for this week. I always tend to talk about this friggin' game, but it's something I play a lot, and I know that there are a lot of people out there who want to know about it. We're way behind on that piece of news. That's been in the show notes for a few weeks. We just never got around to it, but I figured I'd mention it just so that you know that I'm aware of it.
Cool. All right, moving on to stuff that
is significantly better.
All right. It was announced today, actually, that The Last of Us will be available on the PlayStation Network on day one, which isn't surprising. A lot of people do that. A lot of consoles do that. A lot of consoles being the Xbox and the PlayStation 3. They have day one digital stuff. The cool thing about this is it was announced today that the game will start to become playable after only half of the game is downloaded. So I guess they're using some of the pre-caching technology that the PlayStation 4 has been said to have.
The future is now.
So yeah, you'll be able to experience a little bit of the future on June 14th, because that's when it hits. I'll be downloading this one digitally on day one, I'm sure, and I'll probably report back.
I will be buying it, a physical copy.
Yeah, because you like trading in your stuff. I like having bits on my console, apparently, for some
Well, you know what?
reason.
In all fairness, actually, now that I realize what I'm about to say, it's not in all fairness at all. I tend to keep games like this very long, for a very long time, because I like to go back and play the story. Naughty Dog's track record, basically impermeable at this point. But, Drake or the Uncharted games tend to kind of die out for me after a while. And as fun as they are, you go through the third time, fourth time, it's like, I've played this enough. But, the only game I have on the PS3 that isn't a friggin' baseball game is Quantic Dream's Heavy Rain. I think that game just holds up so well, even to this day. That's one I don't think I'll ever get rid of. I believe this probably, for me, sounds like it's in the same vein. I'm so excited for it that I just want that physical copy. I like the boxes. I like the artwork. I'm, a physical media kind of guy, but I mean, you'll be playing it long before I will, so that kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm so excited for this freaking game, man. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be good. There's a lot of non-spoilery kind of previews that went up this week because there was I guess a bunch of developers, or not a bunch of developers, a bunch of reporters rather, got together with the developers to do a play session, and it's getting some really, really good kind of early buzz. So yeah, I love it. It's going to be a great game. All right,
Can we make a prediction right now that when this game, when Last of Us launches, the next 3 days of gaming news are going to be talking about how violent The Last of Us is, and if video games need to be so violent, and rehashing stuff from BioShock Infinite? That's going to be the conversation.
Yeah,
I can see it now.
From what's happening in the chat room, as long as you can hit X to Jason, you'll be fine, because that's apparently all everybody keeps wanting to do. I actually created a website after Heavy Rain came out called the Jason button, and all it did is there was a button on the middle of the screen. If you hit it, it just said Jason.
You know what? The first time you're playing that game,
there's like
you get really
samples.
nervous. Like, the first time I was playing that game, I was like, oh my God, this is like... for some reason, I got sucked in so much that I was like, this kid is lost, and I feel nervous. I know something bad's going to happen. But I've played it 3 or 4 times after that, and that freaking part just drags like
Jason.
crazy.
Jason. Jason.
Jason.
Jason.
Jason.
Jason.
And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to. You have to walk for so long.
It never ends.
So long. and
It's
it
a
just
never-ending
never ends.
Jasoning. I was going to name my son Jason, but then I couldn't do it anymore after playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. I'll never hear that name the same way again after that game.
Yeah,
that game has literally
exactly.
ruined that name. If I go to
It
watch
is.
like a Friday the 13th movie now, I'm just going to be like, Jason!
My nephew's named Jason, and I actually kick him every once in a while just because.
Just because. I didn't name myself.
I
Too bad.
don't do that. That was a terrible thing to say.
No, that's
sorry.
okay.
All right, moving on. Let's get into the rest of the story. Yeah, you put this one in the show notes. Apparently, the Japanese owners of Vita, they like the system. It just doesn't have any software they want to play.
Yeah, I put this in the show notes. Well, it's actually an article that came out last week, but we didn't do a show. But I kept it in there because I thought it was really interesting for a few reasons. One, it shows that, Japanese gamers aren't just, bowing down to the shrine of Sony, that they love Sony, but they're willing to admit that the company has some significant flaws. In that, the Vita, great piece of hardware, as we all know. I don't think there's any dispute that the Vita is one of the best pieces of hardware that's ever been produced for handheld gaming. But they agree wholeheartedly that, yeah, it's cheaper. It's been reduced to $214, which is roughly $80 less than its counterpart here. But still, there's almost no reason to buy it because the library is so small. And they got a bunch of really great kind of pull quotes here from people who are, as old as 50 I saw on this list, and as young as 18. And they're saying like, it's really well made, but there's no games, and there's like a 44-year-old male right here scored the console as a 50, saying that there are too few exclusive games, which is what we've been saying for months. And I really like to hear that there are other people out there that feel the same way and that are vocal about it. It's such a great piece of hardware, but they're all ports, or granted, there are a few exclusives out there. And I even if I don't like them, I'm just happy that they're exclusive and that that's something that's been built specifically for the system. We'll talk a little bit later on in the show about a new game that's coming that I'm very excited for. But I feel like it's going to take a lot of work to kind of turn this system around. And I don't know do you feel the same way about it?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love the hardware. It has its own quirks, but there's no software, man. And if I didn't have PlayStation Plus, there'd be no reason why I should own this console right now, or this handheld right now.
That's true. And then that stand breaking. I mean, goddamn.
Goddamn Sony, I hate you now. I'm not buying the PlayStation 4. That's it.
Yeah.
Gonna throw my PlayStation 3 through a window.
Yeah, well, your PlayStation 4 charging cradle should be comped now after this
That's it.
little debacle.
Yeah, they owe me a PlayStation 4 for free because of this. The psychological damage is just too much.
I think that soon, perhaps before E3, we should talk about just kind of wrap up the year of the Vita, talk about it a little bit in depth because I think it's a great piece of hardware as we've said multiple times, but man, it's also hard for me to kind of like go in and pinpoint this is what's wrong with the system, because I think there are a lot of little things that kind of add up to this big mountain of crap that you have to deal with when you buy one of these things. But I wouldn't mind going into a little bit more in depth, but I don't know, I feel like maybe we've passed that time. If you want to hear us really bitch about Sony, send us a message, VGpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know if you want to hear something in that vein, because I'd be more than happy to step up on that soapbox and just tear them down, as we're going to do with Nintendo a little bit later, and I feel like it's going to be a continuing theme.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Moving on is actually another story that came out of the Nintendo Direct, but I saved it because it was later in the show notes. And that is there's no reason as a press person, someone in the gaming press, to go to E3 anymore because Nintendo is holding E3 at Best Buy. Apparently 100 Best Buy locations in the US and Canada. There'll be some of the pre-release games that Nintendo's releasing will be available to play in Best Buy. That's kind of cool.
It is.
It's better than what Xbox would do, where they would announce a bunch of games and then have some demos and a bunch of trailers available day one. This at least is a lot of pre-release stuff that you can then just go and play and pick up and play at Best Buy, if you can find a Best Buy nearby that has it. That is.
Yeah. When I saw this story, I was like, man, that's dumb. And then I was like, actually, it's pretty smart. And then I said, well, no, it's still dumb, because I'm not going to go. Like, I'm not going to go to Best Buy and play, it's a day, you're going to get the same game that they're playing at E3. I don't give a shit, I'm not going to a Best Buy and stand in line with a bunch of snot-nosed kids to play a game. I'm not going to do that.
I'm probably going to go just to check it out.
No.
I won't wait in line or anything stupid, but I'll go check it out. If the Best Buy in town is going to have that. I mean, because there's probably going to be the new like Mario 3D game. There's probably going to be Smash Brothers games that I want on my Wii U, and I will want to go play them.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a really interesting idea. When I first saw the article's title, because I kind of wrote it the same way Kotaku did, I'm like, so Nintendo's just not going to be at E3 and they're going to hold them at Best Buy. It's like, what the hell are they thinking, But it's actually a really solid idea. I think it'll get engagement more. I think the best thing that it does, screw the new games. What it's going to do is it's going to install a Wii U inside the store, and people are going to see what the Wii U is. I think that's going to be the best part about this, is that they're not going to see a Wii there and people dancing or whatever. Some guy's holding a controller that has like a gamepad on it, and this is a new system. I think that's going to be the good part about this.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see what kind of happens there. I mean, they have these units all over the place, and people still aren't playing it. I never see people playing the Wii U, so I think that says something about the console, unfortunately.
Yeah, nobody knows what the hell it is.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Another Vita title, because I somehow broke up all of our Vita news into two segments because I wasn't thinking.
That's okay. Keep the viewers on their toes.
Yeah, exactly. And that is Killzone Mercenary. It's coming to the Vita.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm a big fan of Killzone series.
It looks really pretty.
It does.
It looks very, very pretty.
From what I understand, this is a game that's been in development for about 2 years, so pre-Vita launch, which I think is really good because they've now worked out a lot of the kinks that have kind of plagued other lesser shooters, as we know with Call of Duty and the Resistance game. It feels like this is a really solid attempt at making a very franchisable series appealing on the Vita, and I can't imagine that it's going to not help out and sell some Vitas. There are people that are big Killzone fans and like, well, I can play this on the go now. Absolutely. So I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's coming in September, so
Very soon as well too. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll probably want to check this one out. It'll be at least a month before it's available as a free download for PlayStation Plus. So I might even go buy it.
Like, what the hell else are they going to give you for free?
Exactly. All right, moving on. This is kind of neat. When we do live streams here at VG Podcasts, we stream on twitch.tv. So this week it was announced that there is a twitch.tv app available on Xbox Live. So if you want to watch us right on your Xbox, you can do that by downloading the Twitch app and doing a search for VG Podcasts. And then we'll show up. If we're live, you can watch us stream live on your Xbox.
It is pretty cool. I like that Xbox is trying to get all these different channels so that, again, like we talked about a few weeks ago, right? It's all about competing for HDMI 1 on your TV. Mm-hmm. Use it as a multi-use box.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, you can basically watch us talk about games instead of you actually playing games on your console. So I mean, it
would be really cool if you could do them both at the same time.
That would be really cool. That's more like next gen type stuff.
Picture in picture.
Next gen. All right. Yep. Next up. Let's talk about EA for a bit. There's been a couple EA announcements this week, which have been kind of interesting. The first one is a developer. I talked about it on Nintendo Pulse yesterday, but we'll talk about it again here. One of the developers for EA has basically come out and said that there are no games in development in EA for the Wii U currently.
That's got to be good news, right? If you're a Wii U owner, everybody hates EA anyway. They're like, oh, they're not going to cloud up my system.
They make terrible games. I don't want to play their stupid Simpsons Tapped Out. Oh wait, I play that all the time. Damn. I
want to play Battlefield. Oh well, I actually have it right down the shelf behind me.
Yeah. It's interesting and it's kind of sobering and it's actually really kind of scary. I want to play games on my console and EA makes lots of games. And now I cannot play those games on the console that I bought to play games on. It kind of makes me really sad.
Yeah. It's just shitty news. I mean, we knew that a lot of games weren't going to be coming to the Wii U, but now you can't even as a Wii U owner count on the stalwart, the friggin' NHLs and the Maddens. Like, you just can't count on anything these days if you're a Wii U owner. So what are you going to play? Zombie U. Like the Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I have no idea how good it is on the Wii U. It's probably okay.
Yep.
What's that? With the game where you burn shit in the fireplace? With the poopy cats that your kids like to call them.
I can't think of it right now.
That was a fun game, I guess.
It was fun, yeah.
So there's 3 games that I can name.
Plushie was the toy that was in there. It was a lot of fun.
Off the top of my head, I can name 3 games that you could play.
It's kind of sad. It really is. EA had already announced earlier last week that they weren't porting the Frostbite engine over to Wii U, so. The new Frostbite engine that would run all their new titles. So we already knew that there was going to be a bit of a drought, but it was announced that there's going to be no Madden. There's going to be no Tiger Woods. Now FIFA has said that there will be no FIFA because the FIFA had already come out as a launch title and didn't sell very well. So one of the biggest publishers is not publishing any games on the Wii U. Somewhere in some toilet, someone is having some nervous bowels up in Nintendo land somewhere. This is really sad. And Reggie probably called someone and yelled at them for a very long time with this announcement.
Yeah, like I can't imagine that. If you're a shareholder or if you're like, oh, you know what, maybe I'll go buy a Wii U. If this story has to have hurt their sales, has to have. Even if you don't like EA, I don't think a lot of people realize how many games they publish a year. It's hundreds, people. Hundreds of games that they publish a year under different publishing houses, different developing houses, and none of these games will ever come to the Wii U. I mean, well, I won't say ever, but not now, and probably not this year. And that is a big amount of games that you will not see, which means that the very small amount of games that could come out has now shrunk by half.
Yep.
And that's scary news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, really terrible. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. I'm getting depressed. I'm getting depressed here.
Exactly. I don't even own one, and I'm getting depressed about it. You know,
Well, some good news. Remember buying EA games and you'd have to register a code so that you could actually play online, and that was a way to prevent people from buying used games because they'd have to buy the used game for $5 less than retail and then pay $10 to play it online. Remember that whole online pass program?
Yeah.
It did so well for EA. It was so good for consumers that EA has actually canceled the program. They say no new games will be coming out with that with online passes in it. So that's a good thing.
It is a very good thing.
I was looking forward to paying $10 on my Wii U to play the next used EA game, but I won't have to worry about that.
Well, for two reasons, yeah. You know what? It's one of those things that we seem to jump all over when it happens. You know, with Metro Last Light, that's a new big controversy, is that when they're advertising, they market Ranger mode as the way the game is meant to be played, and when you buy it, you have to pay to unlock it, which is some horse shit. But it's only $5. But anyway, you know, voting with your wallets is basically the only real power that we in the gaming community have. And I say power loosely because, quite frankly, we really don't have any power. But they seem to have gotten the message and be like, oh, you know what? It wasn't a good idea. We'll stop. I think that admitting that you had a bad idea and then recanting on it is about as nice as gaming publishers are going to be these days, which I'm totally happy with. I think this is a great story. Maybe some of the best news that we've heard in a while. You don't have to get those online activation codes anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It's good news. It's good news.
Exactly. All right. Moving on. This one is also kind of sad to me. That is, EA has basically been given the exclusivity to make all future Star Wars games on consoles. That is really sad to me because we know what EA exclusives have done. They've ruined NFL football games. They've done other things which aren't so good. And now I won't be able to play these Star Wars games on my Wii U. Yeah.
Granted, you have other consoles, but I know that you want to play stuff on the Wii U. Yeah, it's not great. This is just a trio of really bad. Oh, no, not a trio. Sorry, a duo of really bad news for the Wii and Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this will ruin the franchise. I would say that Activision has ruined more franchises than EA has. I think that EA puts enough work into each game that, you know, marginally better is still better. You know, it's your own fault for buying a game a year. You know, like, I can't really get mad at getting burned on MLB 13 the show because I bought 12. You know, that's my own fault. But if you're just buying and you've never bought that franchise before, that's going to be a really great game to play, you know? So, but I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we can look forward to more Battlefront and more Sims games with Jar Jar Binks in it and some other things coming out. So should be interesting.
Sims 4 just got announced, actually. And from what I understand from the press release, they did like a little video. It will not be online to play, if you can believe that shit.
Yeah.
They actually said, we're not going to do online to play.
Well, because it did so well for SimCity. I mean, it's surprising.
And it's still doing really well.
Yeah, exactly.
We haven't touched on that debacle in a long time, but it's still real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Real bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, that's EA. That's our trio of EA news. So, yeah, EA. Woo. All right, moving on. Let's get into some other stuff. It's been announced this week that this past quarter, World of Warcraft has lost 1.3 million subscribers. Wow. Scary. I haven't played WoW in a long time. Just because I don't want to pay $15 a month to play a video game when I don't have a lot of time to game. But also, like, when they had Cataclysm and some of the stuff after, it was just like, it's not really my thing. Now the Kung Fu Panda update that came out was even more not my thing.
Like, was it Mists of Pandaria, I think?
Yeah, Mists of Pandaria. Yeah. And so I guess that's what's happening. WoW is starting to lose people. Doesn't really surprise me. It seems like the only MMOs that do well now are the free-to-play ones. So do you think this means that WoW is going to be going free-to-play in the next 6 months or year?
Well, it is already free to play up to level 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, with heavy limits. You can't trade items, you can't do a lot of things. But yeah, and realistically, level 1 to 20 takes about 2 hours these days. Like there's so much XP to be gotten when you're that young.
I believe that with the amount of rabid fan base for this game, and it's still a massive, massive game, they could probably go another half decade without changing anything before it becomes nobody playing it. It's a kind of a weird question to ask, though, right? Like, you hear 1.3 million in 3 months, but the diehards are still there and they're still playing and questing because all their friends are there. Do I think that they go free to play? Maybe. I don't know how well it would work. They'd have to bring in an economy system so that they could, go freemium, because obviously that server's got to be just a monumental cost. They have to make back in some regard, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So they have to make money somewhere. So they're going to have to try and figure out some sort of, we want to ride your mount. That's going to cost you 80 cents or whatever.
They already sell a lot of premium items for real money. So they would just have to expand that program a little bit. And change the things that they have. So instead of just buying the ethereal tiger mounts for $12, maybe every mount now is available for money. Maybe if you want to wear clothing, it costs money. If you want to buy these real cool shoulders, it costs money. There's different ways to do it. It'll be like the Marvel MMO that's coming out, where you get a lot of the game for free, but if you want to use specific characters, it's going to cost money. If you want to use specific costumes, it's going to cost money. It makes sense in this day and age to do something like that. But I mean, WoW's been around forever. Like if I reactivate my subscription, everything that I did in the game is still there. Like they've kept your characters around forever, which is pretty amazing.
It's been around for a decade now, maybe.
8 years, something like that.
That's so long.
Is it that long? No. Well,
I remember being in like grade 12 and people were playing it. So that was 2005.
It must be. Yeah. Wow.
That's a long time, man, for that game to be on top like that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's certainly I think a dying game, but I mean it's going to be dying very, very slowly. I think something very drastic would have to change, for them to just for people to completely abandon it and go to something else. Like a game is going to have to come out that represents what that used to represent. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think freemium and free to play games are great, but I don't think that one freemium game is going to be a juggernaut like World of Warcraft, at least in the next year. Mm-hmm. But someone's going to come out with a game that is just, it's free to play. World of Tanks, if you can believe that, is a monster success. Yeah. And it's just tanks.
Yeah, I mean, well, look at Star Wars. It came out not free to play, and it quickly became free to play. I mean, that's obviously that's where you have to bring it. Yeah. So every other MMO that comes out, I'm really looking forward to the Marvel one. Like, I think that is going to be kind of the game that's going to get me playing MMOs again. The DC universe didn't really get me because it started out as you had to pay, and you had to pay to play on your console. Like you buy the $60 console game and have to pay your monthly fee, which is just
that was kind of bullshit.
It's like no, not about to do that. But yeah, it's interesting. Well, we'll see what happens, but it's definitely it's surprising because for the longest time, World of Warcraft was the game that could not lose or could not die.
Yeah, I played it briefly. I think I maybe got to like level 3 or something. I've never been an MMO fan just because I don't like the interface. I've never liked just the way they control, and I feel like I'm just more selecting commands for them to do, and then they just go and do it. Now, granted, you're still putting in an input if it's a first-person shooter, but I feel like I've got more say in what goes on. It's just never been my kind of game. So,
yeah, cool. All right, moving on. WoW is dying, so there you go. This just in. There was a game announcement this week, which kind of surprised me. Gran Turismo 6 was announced for the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's the 15th anniversary of the GT games, Gran Turismo games, so it kind of makes sense that they'd want to go out with a present to the fans. Like, here you go, here's the best Gran Turismo that ever Gran Turismo'd, and it's available on the console that you already own. You don't have to go out and buy the $1,000 PlayStation 4. You can play it on the console you already own. I get that, and it also makes sense because like Gran Turismo 5 was basically paid for by people buying Prologue, and it funded a lot of the development of GT5. So maybe they're going to use this game as a way to fund GT7 on the PlayStation 4, or maybe they'll make it a game that is available on both platforms. Maybe they'll be the first game to do like the crossplay or whatever thing they're going to announce at E3.
That would be really cool.
Some
if I get like a
invention they're
Gran
going to do.
Turismo on the Vita, I would be there. Gran Turismo 5, very, very big success for that team. Great game. I'm a Forza fan, though, so I don't really get into it. However, if, I didn't even think about the crossplay thing, but if they could make a Gran Turismo 7 or whatever on the Vita, shit, man, I would be there, because I'm a big fan of racing games like that, with this, like, the simulation, the tuner kind of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with Gran Turismo at all. I've just got into Forza more. Right. So that would be really cool to see.
Yep. Yeah.
God, I hope they're working on that now. Shit, I shouldn't have said that. Like, I'm like, I want to play that now,
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So yeah, GT6. I don't know. Car sim games. I'm a collector. Like in real life, as you can tell by stupid things like freaking Skylanders, I like to own all of everything. And when I play a game like Gran Turismo, I want to own every single car. And then when you figure out the math on what it's going to cost in your time to win and purchase every single car, it's just like, I can't do it. It's an impossibility for me. So I've kind of stopped playing Gran Turismo after like Gran Turismo 2 on like the PlayStation.
They've just kept adding more and more cars too.
Exactly, so. Which is I'm not a tuner. Like I don't fix cars. I don't mod cars, so it doesn't grab me that way. I love racing, but I was I liked Forza better. Than GT at the end of the day. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll be picking this one up. It depends on the price. If it's a full retail game, for sure not. But if they release it as kind of like here's $20 GT6 as our present to you on our 15th anniversary, I'll probably pick it up just to relive some things. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and Prometheus in the chat room says, and yet I've gone digital with my games. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? I think it's because I do so much on the iOS platform where I buy games like every day on iOS, and I don't get any physical thing with them. I get bits on my iPad. I think that's why I can buy things on my PlayStation 3 and my 3DS without worrying too much about it. Although I do like the plastic containers on the shelf that I have behind me. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of displaying things as well too, and I like the plastic cases. Although now, as we've talked about before, nothing's inside them anymore but the game disc. Why don't they just downsize the case? And like the PS3 has cases that they're roughly very, very similar to the size of it. You just put the disc in there, and that's about it. The Xbox is just like it's just very over exaggerated. Like, there's a big green case, and all that's in there is a friggin' disc that is half the size, and then on the other side you get a pamphlet that says, if you want to look at your friggin' instruction manual, we didn't print one out, so too bad, so just go to this website and download a PDF. It's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? It's horse shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I can take it back to the store, so that's where I get in.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, moving on. This was kind of interesting. I don't think it's going to do very well, but who knows? I guess this is the only reason why I'm mentioning it is because I'm really excited to get my Ouya when it finally ships. This is kind of like the Ouya, I guess, it's called GamePop, and it's a console service. So you sign up for a monthly membership with them for $7 a month, and you get to play a whole bunch of Android games on your television. So it's like an Ouya, which is $100. But you don't have to pay $100 for Ouya, and you get to play a bunch of games for free for paying $7 a month.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Netflix for mobile games kind of thing.
Yeah, and I guess you're paying for the console by giving them 12 payments of $7.
Yeah, but forever.
No, I think after the 12 months, I think you get to keep your service. I don't know if you pay the monthly fee after that. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Apparently the library has already 500 games in it, and they're taking pre-orders right now. They're going to launch this winter. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if that was something I would ever do, but it's kind of intriguing to me.
Yeah. You know what? On paper, it's like when I first heard the story, I'm like, that sounds like a pretty good idea. You know, you're kind of charging people a subscription model for a mobile service. Interesting. Could work. Now that I think about it, it sounds actually pretty stupid. You know, like, I don't want to play mobile games on my TV. They're mobile, you know? And I don't care that much about mobile games that I think that $7 a month is a good idea. 500 games, yeah, that's great. Probably 400 of them suck. You know, you're going to play a lot of shit games out there. And a lot of, there's so many great free games on the iOS and on the Android store. Why the hell would you need to, like, really, you could buy a iPod Touch and never need to spend a cent in the App Store, and you could be flush with great games forever, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, I don't know if it's going to be a good business model, especially if it's not like a concurrent, like it just keeps going. And, you know, okay, we paid off the console, but we still have to pay the subscription if we want free games.
Unless they send you a new console every year.
Yeah, it's just like we added a gig of RAM or something.
Yeah, because that's what the Ouya is going to do, right? They're going to come out with new versions about every year. They're going to refresh the hardware. Maybe that's what this is going to be. They're going to, like, every year or maybe every 16 months or 18 months, they'll come up with a new version of the GamePop player, and they'll send it to you as long as you sign on for another year of payments.
And it's good that you bring up the Ouya, because that's something that I think is the Achilles heel of this GamePop thing, is that the Ouya
exists.
So many people know about it, you know?
It exists.
And exactly, right? It exists. If you had the choice of going with the Ouya, which, you know, although it hasn't really been tested or, you know, tried yet, has so much good press behind it, or you can go with this GamePop thing that, you know, few know about, and we're not sure if it's a good idea, and it's not just a one-time fee, and it's not like $100 is going to break the bank. You know, the decision is extremely easy to make. It's Ouya all the way, you know?
Yeah.
It's just weird. Just weird.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be doing that type of stuff, yeah, it's got to be the Ouya.
I watched that video too, and I was like, oh, these guys seem like they're smart guys. Yeah. Well, I don't understand this idea, you know?
I mean, it's great. I mean, I get it. But yeah, I don't think that's anything that I'll be doing in the near future. They're
like, oh, we're going to cut into that Ouya market that doesn't exist yet. You know, like, we're going to get, if we could just get like 3% of their business, we're in $1 billion industry.
There's the Ouya, there's the Game Stick, there's the Razer whatever, there's the, what's the other thing?
Yeah, the competition is thick these days.
The clamshell thing with the screen that is coming out I can't remember names of these things because there's so many of them. Like there's a new freaking Android console announced every other day. Like CES was... you'd find cheap memory sticks, new plasma televisions and LED televisions and OLED televisions and Android based consoles. Like that was kind of like the things that you found at CES this year. And I don't know. I think I'm glad I bought a Ouya. I want to see what it's all about. I can't wait to get it. Hopefully I'm going to get it in my grubby little hands soon. But
have they given you a timeline yet? Or?
Mine hasn't shipped yet. I'm hoping that it's going to ship this week because they just sent out an update, and it sounds like by the time that they would get to shipping my stuff, or by the time they get to the point where they've shipped X number of Ouyas, like the percentages, it should be around the end of this week for me because I backed it with about a week left in the Kickstarter, and that's around the numbers.
They've got
a
ton to ship, I bet too, right?
Yeah. So I'm hoping.
Was there ever an official count? Like, did they ship out 100,000 of them, or?
I don't know. If you look at Kickstarter, Ouya.
It's got to be just a truckload. I don't know. Maybe 100,000 might be a little bit ambitious, but
you can. It has the number of backers they had were 63,416. So you got to think around that number, because there were some. Was there some where you get a bunch of them? I think no, I don't think so. So yeah, it'd be about 65,000 or so.
There was some backing where you didn't get anything, right? Too. So
Yeah.
maybe 30,000 shipped. That's a lot of units. Holy Christ!
Yeah.
Even if it's half, that's so much.
Yeah, they had maybe 5,000 backers that didn't get a Nuya, or not even. It was like less than 4,000 backers didn't get a Nuya. So yeah, 60,000 of the systems plus whatever they sold on their website or whatever.
Could you imagine how much the shipping is going to cost on that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. Could you it'd be such like a double-edged sword, right? Like, oh yeah, our Kickstarter was successful. We made so much money, one of the most successful in history. And then you're like, Christ, now I got to deliver on all
now
this
we can't afford to pay all the shipping and all the delivery fees. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like such a nightmare. You go from being just so elated to, sweet Christ, I now have to leave the country because I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
You have to sign 100,000 pictures and say, thanks for buying a Nuya. Like, oh my God. What a nightmare.
All right. Well, last but not least, we love to talk about funny stories, weird stories, bizarre stories. So I saw this one and it's just like, what? I don't understand. This is a game bundle that's coming out in Japan. It's $500 and it's for the 30th anniversary of the Nobunaga's Ambition strategy game. So Koei Tecmo is releasing a bundle that comes with a pile of games. It's going to be the original Nobunaga's Ambition matchlock gun replica. So an actual replica rifle that looks like it has like patina on it. It's weathered. Yeah.
It looks pretty wicked.
it looks pretty amazing. $500 though. It comes with, or on the gun, it has the game's logo, the family crest, a serial number. Apparently, everybody is saying that I'm saying Nobunga wrong. Nobunaga.
I don't even know what Nobunga is. But
Nobunaga. Sorry. I've always
discs.
called it Nobunga. I'm sorry. I know that's not what it is, but sorry. A display stand and all this stuff, and it's $520 US when you convert it. So
it's such a ridiculous stuff. You know what this reminded me of? Have you ever seen Bowling for Columbine, right? When Michael Moore goes into that bank and like, open up a checking account, we'll give you a free gun. Get some games and you get a free gun. Like,
exactly.
I don't know anything about this game series, so I'm assuming it has to be very important to the lineage of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But Christ, man, like a replica gun. Like, would you just like walk into GameStop and you're like, yeah, can I get that gun box set up there? Can I get that? Or you buy it off of Amazon and now you're shipping guns to your house. UPS is walking to your house with a gun and 14 game discs. It's just the strangest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Who does that?
It's a little bizarre. But yeah, anyway, that's $500.
Still a better deal than that leather jacket for Leon from Resident Evil 6 for $2,000. Remember that shit?
I liked it, but it was designed in Japan, so you had to be like so small to actually wear the thing. You would have to be you'd have to wear a small men's in North America to fit that jacket, and it was a large in Japan.
Exactly. Right?
I shot
a guy like me who wears extra large. We're like, I'm sorry, we don't make sizes that we got to put like 8 jackets together to get you in one.
When I go to New York or places that have it, I always go to Uniqlo, which is a Japanese clothing store. And I have to buy extra large or double XL to fit me, and I wear a large, and larges are baggy on me, so it's just like I don't fit the Japanese body model, I guess. So yeah, when I saw the jacket, I'm like, oh cool, it's a large, and I'm like, wait a second, that's a Japanese large, isn't it? That will never fit me, so no way. Not that I would pay for it, but sometimes you like to dream about these things.
Yeah,
like you buying your $1,000 James Bond watches.
Yeah, but I mean, that was a good buy because the regular price was $5,000 and the guy was just wanting to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's a good buy. Yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, yes, entirely. All right, man, that's going to about do it for the show.
Marathon show tonight.
This was pretty epic. So thanks everybody for tuning in and staying with us while we do this.
Good activity in the chat room tonight.
Yeah, a lot of people showing up. Thanks everybody that stuck around. We have Foreman, Corky Dog, Numbskullard, Prometheus, Steven, and the ever there Twitter. who's just a bot in the show. So thanks everybody for coming in and joining us. We actually received a voicemail, and I wanted to play it in this episode, and I forgot that I had to actually edit it because he screwed up his name at the start of it. So I didn't want to play it and have it screw up.
Next week then.
So next week, or should I just play it?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't really care.
Should we play it?
Yeah, just play. I mean, if it's not going to embarrass the guy or something, right?
No. I think he screwed up his name or something. Let me go back to here. Yeah, I can play it here, I think.
If you're beaking in the chat.
Stop talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here, no.
Okay.
He apologized, so that's probably where he screwed up. So I'll start it from here.
Again, this call is going to be for the bonus stage. My name is Richard. I am Reflux. You might have heard me before, or talked to me at least. And anyways, I had a question for you guys. Basically, I'm wondering if there was a franchise or even an entire genre in general that you once loved that has you've lost your faith in it, or something to that effect. What specific game or franchise or genre, as specific as you can get to that, has basically lost you as a customer and as a fan of whatever that is? Thanks for the show. Love it, and have a good rest of your guys' podcast. Bye.
Awesome. So that was a voicemail from Richard, or Reflux. Longtime listener. He used to listen to the PSP podcast back in like 2004, 2005 era.
Stalwart.
When I first started podcasting, before you could ever really podcast, because there was like the RSS thing was new, and there was only like the iPod or Lemon was the only way to get the files. Really long time ago. So this is like this is a blast from the past. So his question is, any franchise that has kind of lost you, that you've lost all faith in?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I have an answer. Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think I've got mine, but I'll still think about it.
For me, personally, it's Final Fantasy. I used to love Final Fantasy. I played the original one. I played 2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo, which are really 4 and 5 before the Japanese versions were importable or whatever. I loved Final Fantasy 7. I played Final Fantasy 8. Final Fantasy 9 was kind of getting weird. Final Fantasy 10 was just like, what? And then 10-2 was just like, wearing dresses. What am I doing here? And then it got crazy with like the
That's actually what that game is too.
and then it's like online. There's re-releases, and then there's all the stuff that they've done on my iPad where they're re-releasing games at like $7,000, and it's just I've kind of lost all of the happy bubbly feelings whenever I know that there's a new Final Fantasy coming out, because I know that either it's going to be too grindy. I'm going to spend 40 hours playing the tutorial. Like, what was it? Final Fantasy 13?
13, yeah. Final Fantasy 13, the tagline should be, spend the next 8 days of your life in a tunnel.
Totally. And it's just, it's not a game that I get excited for anymore. And I was the biggest Final Fantasy fan growing up. Like,
I think it was hard not to be, right? I mean, it was such a great series.
I played the Super Nintendo versions. I must have beat them probably a dozen times each. Final Fantasy 7, I got every single item that was gettable in Final Fantasy 7. Every chocobo, every summon, everything. Like, I played the hell out of that game, and I beat it multiple times as well.
I talk shit about that game, but I mean, I played the hell out of it as well too. You know, you'd go and face the 4 different versions of Sephiroth, and hit Knights of the Round with all, and just walk away for 8.5 minutes.
Yeah,
you know,
Knights of the Round was great.
It was so good. I mean, it's great the first few times, and you're like, oh Jesus Christ, you can't skip these.
It was always good.
It was always good.
Even the 100th time, it was still Knights of the Round.
I just see like that massive number that comes up afterwards. But yeah, it's a series that's like, I think, rested on its laurels a bit too long, and it's the track record isn't there anymore.
Yep.
And I think we talked about this before. What was it? Was it the PS4 reveal where the guy that like the lead creative guy for Final Fantasy comes out, and he's like 97 years old? And we're like, I wonder why the franchise sucks now.
He came out on a motorized rabbit.
He said like 8 words and then had to go to sleep in his cryo tube. Like
he did pass out a few times. We'll give you that. Yeah,
he came out on strings. He was like, it was Weekend at Bernie's or something.
Yeah, he had dark sunglasses on and was propped in awkward positions. So yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I don't know. Final Fantasy. That's definitely my answer. How about you, any?
You know what? Final Fantasy would be very close to mine, but there was only a few games that I really loved, and mine actually is going to be Assassin's Creed. And I saw that Foreman in the chat room said it. Prometheus actually suggested Resident Evil, but as much as the series has kind of faltered, I still really like it. But yeah, it's going to be Assassin's Creed. There's nothing really about the game that I don't like. I think Assassin's Creed is still some of the best top tier AAA games that you can buy. They're really, really great. They have some problems, but when you build a game that big, I think it's kind of hard not to. But for me, so there's going to be a little bit of... Somebody might jump on me for this, so I'm going to protect myself beforehand. Call of Duty gets released every year. I don't have a problem with it, and the reason is because Call of Duty is such a simple bullshit game where I can go in, I can beat the campaign in 8 hours, and then spend 2 or 3 days out of a year playing multiplayer. When it comes to Assassin's Creed, there is a real significant amount of attention you have to spend in that world and kind of get into it, and I just don't have that kind of time. I don't think it's bad that they're coming out every year. That's fine. They're still really great. They have not compromised quality, which I think they should be commended for. But
except when you look at Assassin's Creed Revelations, which was, what was that?
I never had a problem with that game. I only got about halfway through, and I know people say that on the second half it really falls apart, but I think they were writing just a bonkers ass story, so
the story's awesome. I give you that for sure.
But there's so much game there, and there's so much to do, and there's even when you're not playing the game, it's one of those ones where you're like, man, what did they mean by that? Like there's so much going on in subtext. It's like trying to watch Citizen Kane every week, like that's what it is. There's just so much shit to think about afterwards that it's draining, and because of that, I just have no desire to play it anymore because, quite frankly, I don't have the energy to go through it. I don't think there's anything wrong with the series, but they've come out too much, and the games are still massive. The last one I played was Revelations, got halfway through, have not played 3, I haven't played the one on the Vita. Black Flag's coming out. I'm like, holy shit, this is just too much. I have no desire to go back, and I don't think I ever will, which kind of sucks because I know they're going to be good. Nice. So yeah, that'll be my choice.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks definitely to Reflux for sending that in. That was awesome. And it was great to hear from you again, man. It's been a long time. We haven't chatted on Instant Messenger for a while. So definitely get in touch again.
Yeah. Call in more often. That was a good question.
Yeah, definitely.
Anybody call in. We love you.
Yeah. Please call our voicemail line, area code 505 VG Podcast. We'd love to hear more calls from you guys. Definitely. All right, so thanks again goes out to PNP Games. Check them out at pnpgames.com. Tell them that you were sent here from the bonus stage on VG Podcast. Go buy some retro games. Let them know, let you know that you love the show and love their product. That would be great. Thanks everybody that subscribes and follows us on Twitter, and also sends us notes. You can chat with us. Head on over to vgpodcast.com. You can click contact us at the top of the page, or email us at vgpodcast@gmail.com. As I said, our voicemail line is 505 VG Podcasts, or you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at DazMe on Twitter. Jeff is at the Jeff Award, at Jeff Award on Twitter. Did you like your Jeff Award, by the way?
I thought it was really funny. Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, sons of bitches, but I can't help but laugh. You're lucky I have a good sense of humor.
Yeah, you have a great sense of humor. So he's at Jeff Award on Twitter. We love hearing from you guys. I think that's it for this week. We've been doing it for like 2.5 hours, or just over 2 hours, because we started a little bit late. I want to keep talking. This was a really good show, man. Yeah,
it was. I'm happy that I don't have to talk to you anymore, so that's great. But
me kind of too. I was being nice for the listeners at home.
I know you were, but I don't give a shit about the listeners. They can know that I hate.
That's true.
We do this once a week for a reason, guys. And really, when Lloyd gets
he's
sick,
talking again.
When Lloyd gets sick, he's not actually sick.
I'm gonna go plant some more lollipops in the ground and harvest some more candies because you're talking.
Next week.
All right, man. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll talk to you in a week's time. Take it easy.
See you guys.
Let's get started.